Hey y'all, it's me Trish. I am the Witch of the Dismal Swamp. How the hell's everybody doing today? I hope y'all are doing good. I wanted to read y'all some things out of the Salem Witch Trials book that I find it, interesting. I mean, maybe you won't. I don't know. A day-by-day chronicle of a community under siege is what it is all about. Now, I read the introduction, and what it does, it explains, the day-by-day chronicles of what led up to these trials, okay? It's kind of like people took notes of their daily life, and it got all put into this book, okay? All the notes that they could find, and manuscripts and transcripts and whatever scripts, okay? And it was all put into this book. Now, it's very interesting, okay? I'm going to start with January of 1692, okay? And it's January 1, 1692. It was a Friday in Salem Village. See, they even break that down, whether it's Salem Village or another part, okay? So, here we go. I'm going to start. Tides ran high at 5:30 in Massachusetts Bay, pushing the creeks backwards towards Salem Village in the dark, for the midwinter days were briefer than the space of a single tide. Because the moon waned its crescent in the damp sign of Scorpio, almanac makers predicted rain or snow. But a fine line divided predicting how events might logically proceed and divining the unknowable future. Whatever was happening in Salem Village was still hidden, the secret of the few girls. By later tradition, a sizable group of them habitually gathered in the parsonage kitchen, where the Caribbean, however way you say it, slave woman Tituba taught them magic. But surviving contemporary accounts never mention this. The only proven conjurations were projects from the settlers' own British folk traditions. Okay. Now, while Betty and Abigail perhaps unnerved themselves with their little sorceries, Samuel Parris' salary again came due and again went unpaid. Now, Samuel Parris was a minister, okay? So he was getting paid, but he didn't get paid. All right, now, January 3, 1692 was a Sunday in Salem Village. Now, this right here, y'all are going to be like, what? But it goes into something, okay? So I have to read this to go to the next one, okay? All right, here we go. A great snow fell this Sabbath, sacrament day, in the village as in most other churches. It shrouded Boston, where Samuel Sewall made note of it, and Salem Village, where the more remote households might be snowbound. Reverend Samuel Parris waded through it from his cold parsonage to the colder meeting house for the morning and the afternoon services, and continued his sermon series on the text of Psalms 110, verse 1. The Lord said unto my Lord, sit thou at my right hand until I make thine enemies my footstool. Christ sits at the God's right hand and intercedes for sinful humanity, and Paris, yea, all mankind, the whole race of apostate Adam, for even the very elect are by nature dead in sin and trespasses. Sometimes, however, it seems as if Christ hath placed his church in the world as in a sea, and suffereth many storms and tempests to threaten its shipwreck. Paris continued, as the snow, storms, and tempests are threatened Paris continued as the snow raged outside, whilst in the meantime he himself seems to be fast asleep. But this was to humble sinners and to make church more watchful, to frighten them back to good behavior like young children overbold with fire or water, whose desperate parents hold them over the danger, to teach them, to stay away from it. Don't touch the fire, don't jump in the water unless you whatever. That's what he was doing. Paris' sermons usually had little to do with hell. But on the Sabbath, he repeated the truism of the devil's hostility towards the church. It is the main drift of the devil to pull it all down. But Christ would defend his church against its three great foes: the inward enemies of a Christian's own sins, outward precautions, and the power of death. Satan would not prevail even though, aided by wicked and reprobate men, the assistance of Satan to afflict the church. It's in, the parentheses. But because the unheated meeting house was so cold, Paris did not enlarge further on the theme, and the meeting ended. Okay, so that was on a Sunday in Salem Village. Now we're going to London. Okay, London, across the sea. Meanwhile, across the Atlantic, in London, increased Mather's 4-year effort to restore Massachusetts' charter concluded at Whitehall. While words of the outcome he had headed west across the ocean, he and newly appointed Governor Sir William Phipps each kissed King William's hands to thank him. Okay, now we're going to January 6th, Wednesday, in Boston. A quarterly court sat for Suffolk County in Boston to consider a number of continuing cases. Most involved disputed merchandise, including a shipload of tobacco confiscated by the Royal Customs Inspector Jalil Brinton. Okay, now we're on January 8, 1692, Friday in Salem Village. Almanacs predicted cold, but instead of January thaw, brought a week of sun and rain and dissolved roads as well as snow. The men of Salem Village gathered in their meeting house at 2 o'clock and voted for a committee to present their independence petition to Salem's town meeting, the same matter for which they were also petitioning the General Court. They chose Nathaniel Putnam, John Putnam Sr., Francis Nurse, Joseph Hutchinson Sr., and Joseph Porter, and Thomas Flint. If Salem wouldn't grant their request outright, these men were instructed they were to ask for freedom from all charges relating only to Salem town in exchange for Salem Village maintaining its own roads and its own poor. I don't know. Sounds crazy, right? It sounds to me like the churches were trying to scare the shit out of people. Okay? I've read further than this, and you'll see if you want me to continue reading this book, what I'm saying. Okay? Now we're going to January 11th of 1692. Let's see, where am I at so far? Okay, I'll go... Well, let me see how long the next one is. I'll do the rest of these two right here, and then I'll stop the video. Unless y'all want me to do more. I was going to do a live and read this, while y'all come in and throw your comments at me. But last time I went live, I had one person show up. So anyway, January 11th, 1692, which is a Monday in Salem town. The village petition committee picked their way through the mud to Salem's town meeting and again presented their plea for separation. While they represented a sizable part of the village, they were not empowered. In the opinion of Salem town to act on its behalf, so the matter was again postponed. Okay, January 12th of 1692, it's Tuesday in Salem town. By now, the fall spring has so liquefied the roads that it seemed more like March than January. Nevertheless, some snow remained in Salem town around the middle of the month when Alice Parker's neighbors found her lying on the dirt and snow, seemingly dead. One of the women assured the men that Goodwife Parker had had its fits of unconsciousness before, but the men were skittish about touching her, and it was a time before one dared to sling her over her shoulders. Despite commotion, she showed no signs of waking, even when the man lost hold and dropped her on the stony ground. And that would suck. What if you was conscious but not conscious? You know what I mean? You knew what was going on, but you couldn't say nothing. You'd be going, ah. That would suck. At last they got her home into bed, but while they undressed her, she suddenly sat up and laughed. If it did not occur to anyone then, it must have crossed their minds later that witches were supposedly able to shed their bodies like cast-off coats, while their spirits went abroad to work invisible mischief. That was the folk belief. Ministers said somebody and soul separate only at the finality of death. Now, that's where I'm going to stop. But right now it's going to start getting into more, it's going to have some blah blah in between, but you get what I'm saying. So what do y'all think? Would y'all like to continue? Would you want me to continue reading this? And the next part is on January 14 of 1692, which is a Thursday in Boston. So if y'all want me to read on into another video, part 2, I'll be happy to, y'all. I just wanted to give y'all a taste of what this book is about. And, if you want to get it, then get it. If not, that's okay too. I find this very interesting. I like history. As long as, well, we've been lied about so much history, y'all. It's like, wow. So anyway, y'all let me know what to do. All right? All right, y'all. I hope y'all all have a really good day, and I hope y'all enjoyed this for real. If not, let me know. I won't post another video on it if you don't care for it. And if you do, I will post another video. Y'all let me know. All right, y'all. Have a good day. Be well and be safe. Toodles, y'all.